Hi, this is Cezanne Poetess, and this is part 2 of my series, The Story Behind the Book. If you missed part 1, I'll put the link to the playlist below. In this video, I'll explain how I started channeling. In the 90s, I could hear from God. And if you think that sounds crazy, wait till you hear the rest of this story. Ever since I was a child, I've always had a connection with the spiritual realm, naturally. So as a young Christian, in my naivety, I thought if I'm going to have a relationship with my Creator, it has to be a two-way conversation. I'm not just going to be praying and not hearing anything back. Do you know what I mean? So I would spend hours in my bedroom praying in tongues, reading my Bible, and sitting in the silence waiting to hear back from Him. And sure enough, He started speaking, just a still, small voice within. We developed a beautiful father-daughter relationship, despite my weakness of sexual sin. It didn't seem to bother Him. When I fell pregnant with my first son in 1992, God told me that the same way my mother had me as an unmarried Christian and He had a plan for my life is the same way He had a plan for my son's life. That's how I discovered I was having a boy. When I fell pregnant with my second son in 1995, God blessed me with a brand new house. I was sitting in my new living room with my 8-month pregnant belly asking God, "Why do you keep blessing me like this? I don't deserve it." And He replied, "I didn't give it to you because you deserved it. I gave it to you because you needed it." And that was how we developed our relationship. It was God's unconditional love for me, which made me fall in love with Him. After putting my boys to bed, I would sit in the silence having conversations with God in my head. One evening in 1998, I asked God what my purpose was. What was the purpose He created me? His immediate reply was to spread love through creativity. He might as well have just said to promote me through creativity. It sounded lovely. The only problem was I hadn't written or painted anything creatively since leaving college 15 years previously. Then along came the book, The Artist's Way, a spiritual path to higher creativity. It helped me get to the root cause of my creative blocks. I discovered that I'd been programmed for failure as a child by my mother and made to believe that my God-given talents of writing and art shouldn't be taken seriously as a way to make money. While she was beating me mercilessly, she would tell me I was worthless and good for nothing. She didn't value my gifts or nurture them. She would even tell me I wouldn't make anything of my life. Her words had sunk deep into my subconscious mind, and now as an adult they had become my subconscious programming. Can you relate? My fictional character, Queen Letitia, did a video about the imprint period. I'll put the link for you to watch it below. And if you don't think trauma can be passed down through your DNA, she did another video about epigenetics, because my work has always been about getting to the root cause of the issues in our relationships. I'm not talking as a victim, and I'm certainly not blaming my mother. She was just acting out her own subconscious programming, passed down to her from the plantations, because that's how the mothers were taught to raise their children. Do you know what else she inherited? The Christian religion, which she also passed down to her children. Year 2 of my novel covers this topic in more detail. But getting back to the story of my inner child, she was crouched in a corner of my mind, neglected by me, the adult. The Artist's Way taught me how to nurture my inner child. I wasn't allowed to say things to her like, "You can't write that." I had to allow her the freedom to express herself freely, so I blame her for the graphic sex scenes. My inner child has the ability to tackle complex topics innocently, like the topic of sex before marriage. The Artist's Way also taught me to simply think of myself as a channel for the great Creator to create through. One of the affirmations I told myself repeatedly from the book was, "I am a channel for the great Creator to create through." It took a few years, but in 2001 I started dictating beautiful messages from God in the form of poetry. Poetry is food for the soul. I recorded them to music and designed posters with them on. These are what I was selling at the Caribbean Expo when I met my twin soul. I think he got them mixed up with my first painting collection when he was telling his flashback story though. You can listen to my God-inspired poetry under the playlist Cezanne's Poetry, including Look to Me, which features in year 1 of the story. Another question I asked God in the 90s was, how can there be a Heavenly Father and Heavenly Son but no Heavenly Mother? He directed me to Proverbs 8, which personifies wisdom as a woman. Apparently, wisdom was with God in the beginning, and without wisdom, nothing was created. Maybe that's why God said in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, "Let us make man in our image." Who was he talking to? Verse 27 says, "Male and female created he them." So where did this other story come from, claiming Eve was made from Adam's rib? So male chauvinist, even claiming God made man and not humans. And why would God go against their own laws of creation? It takes both masculine and feminine energies to procreate. No wonder I said in that fearless letter I channeled that the Bible is full of contradictions, man-made religion, male chauvinism and lies, mixed with the truth. You can read the full story of how I channeled that letter on my Patreon as a free member. And remember, I am a channel for the great creator to create through. So I've told you how I started writing poetry as a Christian and how I channeled my fearless letter. Now I'll tell you how I channeled 46,000 words when I was writing the first edition. It was 2010 when I visited the British Museum. There was a mummy on display in the Egyptian section. There seemed to be an energy coming from it, pulling me towards it. When I got home, something, my intuition, told me to put Tahuti on my altar. Now, back then, I didn't even know who Tahuti was, nor was I practicing altar work. But I went online, printed a picture of Tahuti, who they also call Thoth, and put it on my mantelpiece. I started channeling all this ancient wisdom for my book. I would simply go to bed at 8 p.m, wake up at 4 a.m, and write until 6 a.m. I didn't even have to think about what I was writing. In 3 months, I channeled 46,000 words, which made up the most beautiful storyline. I was also shown my ancestry through the story because I was wondering what my connection was to ancient Kemet, as both my parents are from Jamaica. But I discovered my ancestors had travelled from Kemet to Ghana, where they got enslaved, before being enticed to come to England under false pretences. In year 2 of the story, there's a true account of what happened when the British visited Ghana in 1875. When they saw the Ashanti King's palace, they described it as resembling buildings in ancient Kemet, now known as Egypt. So what do you think they did? I'd already left church by 2010 and had started channeling beautiful poetry which told my ancestry, like Are You the One?, Ode to My King Part 1, and Who Am I?, which I recorded last year in Egypt. I'm a remnant of my ancestors, torn from my motherland by the rape of slave traders. Who am I? I am a watered-down version of an African queen. My poetry and art became creative expressions of my spiritual journey. You can listen to all the poems that feature in Journey of a Sister on this channel, free. If you have a history of slavery, there's a good chance that you too are the descendant of royalty, or that your ancestors were master builders and skilled workers with the genius gene, because they were stealing Africans who could help build their empires. Start your journey of self-discovery by listening to the audiobooks free on my Patreon. Sign up as a free member, or to support my work and unlock even more freebies, become a monthly subscriber. I'll put all the links below, and be sure to listen to my fearless letter to God in its entirety before I publish part 3. In part 3, I'll share how my fearless letter to God became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Share this video, leave me a comment below, and if you want to be notified when I publish part 3, subscribe to this channel and push the notification button. And remember to remember who you are. That means to put yourself back together again. Bye for now.